At the end of the week, we are going to be in for something spectacular. This is something that could really change the course of history for Disney. It could be such a catastrophic bomb. We're not talking about something that is simply going to be the biggest black eye for 2025. This could be the biggest disaster of the decade for Disney, okay? And I'm not just talking about, the one that has been. We're also talking about the one in the future, because I don't think we're ever going to see, okay? And, hey, maybe I'm speaking a little bit too soon on this, but just to see the confluence of events that have really transpired to make this Snow White live action remake such an unlikable disaster. Like, you have so many things going against it, okay? From Peter Dinklage coming out and just completely and destroying, kicking the little step ladders out of a bunch of different dwarf actors, that was years ago at this point in time. And then Rachel Zegler being insufferable, and the rest of the supporting cast being either completely and totally unknown or wooden planks of 6-foot-tall Israeli beauty queens that can have absolutely no modicum of talent for the vast majority of their career, but when the moment requires them to have just a little bit of acting range, they're going to fall completely on their face. Not to mention the reworking of a otherwise simplistic story. Like, we're never going to see this again. Okay, Disney, for as stupid of a company as they are, I don't think that they'd allowed something this catastrophic to happen again, because now, as we're just inching closer to that release date here on Friday the 21st, even though previews start on the 20th, so realistically we should start saying the release date is on the Thursday, but I digress. We had the announcement and the red carpet event that just took place on the 15th. That was very subdued. That was very scaled back. You had the UK event that was also in a similar form and fashion. And then you've also seen the promotion around, and it's interesting, right? Because there were a few ads. I remember seeing a few ads here probably in like February or something like that. But even as we've gotten closer to the release date, there's been very little advertisement for this movie. Now, it could be on traditional means, just trying to catch normie family audiences. And of course, as somebody who very much doesn't fit into that demographic anymore, maybe I'm not being targeted for those ads, but I think Disney's very much penny pinching this project because they know they're not going to see any return on their investment. They know that they're already pot committed for, I'm sure we're likely to see, and maybe we have already, different articles that'll come out and say, well, actually, guys, the budget for this is only, I don't know, 150 to 180 million dollars, whatever we normally just trot out there in the likes of Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Deadline, all of those different access media rags. Will just go ahead and run with that when we know that this film has been back for about a similar number of reshoots as Captain Black Falcon America Man, that all of the outlets were just parroting the Disney line that film only cost $180 million. Sure is funny when that's not even going to break even on that borked math when we know it's closer to $350, $400 million budget. So yeah, that's what you're looking at here for the Snow White remake, meaning it's going to need somewhere in the realm of $750, $800 million just to break even, or whatever they trot out for their own self-reported budget. That I'm pretty sure this ended up doing a large majority of filming in the UK. So unlike Captain Black Falcon America Man, we're eventually going to get receipts on this. It might come out next year, and it's going to be, it's just going to really remind us how much of a catastrophic failure this is going to be. But yeah, you could see the rumor, Disney minimizing Rachel Zegler's press appearances to limit anti-woke backlash for Snow White. Yeah, because they don't need another round of sound bites to refresh everybody's memory for how she would call, the prince was weird. This isn't 1937 anymore, and things have very evidently changed, very much so. Now it's about a strong, empowered female, and I didn't really much care for the original. I watched it once and never watched it again because I thought that it was scary. They want to be able to just probably skate quickly over thin ice. A new rumor alleges that Walt Disney Company is purposefully limiting Rachel Zegler's press appearances in order to limit anti-woke backlash for Snow White. According to Molly Clanton at the Daily Mail, source informed her, Disney are already anticipating an anti-woke backlash against Snow White and have reduced the media schedule to just a handful of tightly controlled press events. Which at this point in time, man, she might mess up and do something very hilarious that might win some people back. So what even worried about at this point in time? Everybody already has their perception. This is broke through to just normie circles, and nobody's looking forward to this, and you guys already know that. So just just take the leash off and let the little chihuahua run wild. As for why, the source explained, that's why they have taken the highly unusual step not to host a London premiere for the film and are minimizing the amount of press questions that Rachel Zegler gets. Yeah, because she's really only had, like, the one interview that we seen was from, like, Vogue Mexico or some shit like that. Like, not even Gal Gadot's dumbass is out there on the stroll promoting the film because, like, she seems nice enough on the interview circuit. She can't deliver a line or answer a question in a convincing form to save her incredibly privileged life, but you would think that, you know, hey, if you needed a face in the movie, you could just make it hers. But I guess maybe that would put a little bit too much spotlight on Rachel Zegler for just being unlikable in front of the camera. So it's very muddled. I understand why they just decided to, screw it, we're just gonna scrap all of our promotional plans. Fuck it. Of note, the anti-woke backlash has already occurred, with hundreds, if not thousands and tens of thousands of even more criticized Rachel Zegler, as well as the Walt Disney Company, for their plans to radically alter the original plot and story of the 1937 animated Snow White film with a live-action adaptation. Yes, exactly, back in 2023. Zegler cried. I'm not familiar with that word. That's a new one to me. The original film, telling Extra TV, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on the love story with the guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time. We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story, just because we cast a guy in the movie, Andrew Burnap, a great dude. It's one of the things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what's actually it's going to be. It's really not about a love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. That's just one of the many insufferable things that she did. Like, also mocking Jeremy Renner when he was injured. She went after Sean Bean because she just sucks. And she was also leading the charge against Gina Carano when she ended up getting canceled by Disney. And God, she just sucks. Like, not even to mention, you know, her little meltdown after the election in November, how she wishes Trump supporters never know peace or quiet. She just sucks. Like, there's no other way about it. A miserable person with a shitty disposition, and you wonder why the film is projected to make, you know, Marvel's money. When it's all said and done, the closer we get to this, the more I'm thinking that, this is definitely going to be the Marvels Part 2. Is it going to crack $200 million? I don't see it making any more than 3. I don't think it's going to make more money than Captain America, okay? I think that is very much going to be, it could very well end up being the first half high watermark for them, because I don't think the Thunderbolts does better than Captain America, because if this film right here, if Snow White has a negative buzz, the Thunderbolts has no buzz. So we'll see. I guess we'll see what ends up being worse for Disney. But like I said, man, like, there is nothing more that this film can't present as a problem, and how Disney, if they're smart, which they aren't, needs to learn from this situation, because legacy media tries to shift the blame for Snow White failures to Gal Gadot instead of Rachel Zegler after an ADL speech. Like, okay, cool. Something that doesn't get enough coverage is the fact that, Gal Gadot, after, October 7th, the most harrowing day in Israeli history, she got a bunch of drone footage and strung it together for a PowerPoint presentation that she gave to a lot of Hollywood's elites. And because of her connections, that upsets some people. Now, I've got my stance, and funnily enough, it actually aligns a little bit more with Rachel Zegler when it comes to certain conflicts around the world, but the way that I go about it is a lot different than the way that she goes about it, because in talking about, that's another thing that Rachel Zegler did that, jogged my memory on this one, is when she was talking on Twitter about all of the engagement the original Snow White trailer generated, the most disliked trailer in all of social media history. Okay, she couldn't just end it on, oh, thanks for, checking out the trailer and all that stuff, even though you don't have to acknowledge negative reception. You can just simply point out some of the high points. But then she ended it with another tweet and then finished that off with Free Palestine. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing, okay? Your co-star in this is like one of the most outspoken and prominent faces of that conflict, and you just got to get that little jab in there? Like, what are you doing, you idiot? There's a time and place for everything, but This is just utterly fatherless behavior, if we're being completely honest. With the Snow White film just a couple days from release, even Variety is acknowledging Disney's struggles with the film, but rather than focus on the real reason audiences have rejected it, Disney's creative choices and Rachel Zegler's inflammatory remarks, pretty much sums it up, huh? The legacy media is now subtly bringing Gadot into the conversation. Well, I would too, but just for very different reasons. She's a horrible actress. Disney has already scaled back Snow White's Hollywood premiere, limiting media access and skipping the usual red carpet spectacle, which, oh man, like the fact that we're never going to get, so is this going to be the gayest Disney live action remake in history? Like, why can't we get that? However, Variety report about the scale back event, the article made an unnecessary pivot towards Gadot, attempting to tie her recent speech to the Anti-Defamation League, which is a terrible organization anyways, summit to the controversy surrounding Snow White, which, to be completely honest, like, I've been following Snow White very closely for years at this point in time, and also the ADL and their scummy goings on. I also follow them reasonably closely. I didn't know that these two worlds connected in such a strong manner like this. This is news to me. The problem, Gadot's remarks had nothing to do with the film, while Zegler's repeated missteps are the real reason this movie has been a PR disaster. In the article, Variety reporter Mark Malkin. Oh, that is the gay guy, okay? Well, he is gay, but he also asks all the gay questions. A man who's most well known for asking actors about same-sex relationships and their projects wrote, world politics also come into play. Zegler has promoted Free Palestine on social media. At the same time, Gadot, who is Israeli, has become an outspoken supporter of Israel on social media, as well as a passionate speech she delivered on March 4th when she was honored at the ADL's annual summit in New York City. Or it's like, okay, I don't know why you guys can't disconnect the art from the artist, even though it's really hard to say anything that Gadot is attached to is art. But as conservatives who would be far more amenable to Gal Gadot's position on this, they're very accustomed to having to separate, specific personal choices of actors and actresses in order to, enjoy and engage with entertainment in today's day and age. It's funny how these access rags can't do the same thing. This framing is deliberate. Instead of keeping the focus on Zegler's self-inflicted controversies, Variety introduces Gadot through Malkin as her speech at a formal ADL event somehow plays a role in Snow White's struggles. I mean, that entire thing means a little to nothing. I found it hilarious that, Rachel, being as inflammatory as she is, decides to just throw politics into this when nobody else has done that. It's not like Gadot went up there and it's like, as the evil queen, I know something about the horrors that can be inflicted on the world. Please take a look at my slideshow. Like, she wasn't doing any of that shit, okay? So to frame it as, Zegler has promoted Free Palestine before, and then to pivot to, she spoke at an ADL conference, like, what are you doing? Okay, this is textbook deflection tactic. Exactly. And here's the thing, man, like, you can continue to do whatever you want, and you want to present it, Jonathan Greenblatt, piece of shit, hunk of garbage, terrible, censorious, awful human being. But honestly, the bullet points on her speech, she's just simply talking about her own pet projects, and that's fine. I might not agree with some of them, but hey man, it's her decision what she wants to do with her life. Go for it, man. But she didn't do anything to bring up her role. She didn't use this as an opportunity to promote anything that she's doing other than just using her own elevated platform and raise awareness to a cause that she finds just. That's fine. It's whatever. It doesn't detract from the film. It's not really going to help this troubled project, but to try to frame that as an overt bad thing, there's a reason why nobody takes Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline seriously at all. There's a reason why this film is going to fail, but the cope around it, oh boy, if you thought the Captain America stuff was juicy, this right here, we haven't even begun to see how low they will go. It's going to be so glorious these next couple of weeks. Can't wait. Can't wait. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.